What's up, everybody? Facebook Live, YouTube. It's Wellness Week. I'm your host, DJ Anthony. It says it right there, so you know it's legit. I got a special guest on, and no pun intended, but I was pumped up to get this guy on. I've been bragging about it for days now. I'm like, yo, we're getting the strongman on. Strongman. I know guys, strongman. He's weightlifting. So, Jim, how's it going? Thanks for coming on. I appreciate the time.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, man. Hey,
appreciate the invite, man.
No, absolutely. So we're going to get into it real quick. So wait, I see the Rutgers badge there. Rutgers or?
No, just a fan. Actually, I got a bunch of T-shirts from my years coaching and, bringing kids down there, and they're recruiting my players, and, they always throw T-shirts and hats and tickets.
Awesome. Yeah. No, I didn't go to Rutgers, but I'm an honorary Rutgers student because all my friends went there, so I would crash there on the weekends and stuff. So I kind of feel like it's my school, but it's not my school. All right. Yeah. So before I get into it, and I'm going to try not to kiss your butt too much, but I don't know if you know this. So yeah, you and I went to the same high school. I'm older than you, but one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on, aside from obviously weightlifting being a part of wellness, is so when I was in high school, I was a very, very serious weightlifter. Like I no joking around. Like since I was 12, weightlifting. I competed in Olympic lifting through Coach P.
Yeah,
and I was kicking butt, taking names. I literally was like, okay, I think I can. And I actually even placed in some state tournament. Placed third in my age range and bracket for high school. And I was like, oh man, I really was seriously thinking of making a run for Junior Olympics. Like that's how good I was at it. Anyways, long story short, I get injured and it's a wrap. Not to go into the whole thing with that. And then I was a trainer at Gold's Gym in college. So my point is, I can appreciate what you're doing. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on. I know I don't look like much. My friends call me a hairy stick, but in the past I used to be somebody. So anyways, but so that's why I wanted to have you on, particularly that reason. And then the other reason is I was inspired by you. I'm always inspired by people who, especially in our adult years, you know how it is, out of high school or college, you got obligations, you have family, you got things you got to do. And it's hard sometimes. We put our dreams or our goals for our personal life on the side burner, or they just never come to fruition because life gets to us. And I was like, oh man, Jim is competing in his first strongman. I was like, that is so inspirational. Like, kudos to you, because again, it's a hard thing to do as an adult. After high school, college, it's life gets to you. So it doesn't matter if you were doing ping pong. I'm like, this guy's going for he's going for his dream or one of his dreams. That's inspirational, dude. So particularly though, weightlifting, I have a connection with that. So anyways, enough kissing your butt. But very impressive.
Thank you.
Okay. What do you say about that now, Jim?
Strongman is a sport that I've been a fan of for a long time. I remember, in the mid 90s watching ESPN late at night when you can't sleep. And every other commercial has infomercials. We didn't have Netflix or anything like that. So whatever was on TV, you were stuck watching, those late hours after midnight, they would show the replays of the world's strongest man. And back then in the 90s, it was pretty much an obscure sport. It was a very small niche. That's why it was on late at night, because there was not many viewers. But I thought it was always pretty cool because it's like you have these men and women, but back then mostly men, from all different parts of the world. In particular, they're very dominant in Eastern Europe and Scandinavia, where those sports are big. And I remember, like you mentioned, in high school, our Olympic lifting days with Coach P, he had a big influence on a lot of our students, even later on. Like I still use the squat as my basic exercise for everything, Yes, and it works the entire body, for every single muscle in your body, as well as your core muscles, your stabilizers and whatnot.
Right.
Not necessarily heavyweight all the time, but just to keep the body moving. And that's what I think that's what I credit my longevity right now. I mean, I'm 45, but I feel great.
You look good.
You get the thank you. get the normal aches and pains that everybody our age gets, but I found that I was in a lot more pain, chronic pain, when I was just sitting around, being a couch potato. And the more I move around, the more I do, the better I feel.
Yep.
And then consciously, now that I'm competing, this year I've really taken my nutrition seriously. For years, I always took the approach that, okay, I could just eat whatever I want as long as I burn it off and burn the calories. That's all good and fine, because you could look fine on the outside with staying lean and low body fat. But what you really don't see is the visceral fat inside of your body. So that's
Yep.
the fat that attaches to your heart, your liver. And a lot of that comes from eating trans fats, animal fats, high cholesterol. So I pretty much changed the ingredients that I used, even what type of oil I cook with.
Yep.
And actually, Anthony, I remember from one of your posts a few months back that you mentioned avocado oil that you use. Yeah, and I remember watching your video on that, and I said, it's got I used to cook with extra virgin olive oil, but it has a low smoking point, and it tends to burn. So I use avocado oil for cooking now,
Yeah.
rather than for years growing up. When we were kids, we just ate whatever our parents cooked.
Yeah.
Or if we went out to eat, to a diner or restaurant,
Whatever.
whatever, yeah, it's a lot of butter, lard, and heavy cream, stuff like that.
100%.
Yeah.
So let me ask you though, you kind of touched on it. So that's what drew you to strongman, was that you used to watch it as a younger person, a kid, or like,
Yeah.
Right.
I was just a fan of it, and then,
Right.
whenever it was on TV, I would watch it, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I always stayed active as far as going to the gym, but I guess you could say I was one of those like stereotypical gym bros, like the guy, the bro science guys that's just they wear the string tank top and do a bunch of bicep curls.
100%.
Every day.
Well, what's funny? So now, okay, what you mentioned this too, squatting. So for strongman, and for people who don't know, who are watching, strongman is exactly what Jim was just alluding to. It's what it says, strongman. But you're not lifting dumbbells and bench pressing. That might be the training to it. You're lifting boulders. You're lifting, could be anything, 2 refrigerators, like whatever I guess the organizers want you to lift. But it's everyday objects that you would see. And that's what I agree too. That's what is fascinating. It's like, whoa, he's lifting a boulder. Like, that's the stuff you just see in the, in the street, in the yard. And I think that's what makes it so alluring. So, what is one of the main exercises? And I think you touched on it, maybe I'm wrong, but the squatting. So what is one of the exercises that you utilize to accelerate and do well in a strongman? Would it be the squatting, or is it other exercises?
Yeah, it's a squat. In strongman events, there's always they're all unique. Each contest is unique, but they all have, there's pretty much different basis movements. So each contest will have a variation of a deadlift. So whether that's a conventional deadlift with a barbell, or it might be a car attached to a lever, and you're pulling the car off the ground.
Which you just did, actually. I saw that photo.
Well, the truck pull I did was harnessed, and I had bear crawl and run forward with it.
Oh, okay. But you could also, they would have you lift a portion of the car, possibly.
That's another event. Yeah, there's also so there's a deadlift variation that you could do. Some contests will have it, some won't. I think the one with the car, it's more of like a lever based, because the weight, the majority of weight of a car is in the engine on the front end. And what you're doing is you're lifting from the back bumper. So really you're just there's a pivot point, which is the front tire. So you're really just using leverage to get it off the ground. Whereas with a barbell, it's just pure gravity. It's dead weight. The deadlift is difficult because there's no downward momentum, so you really don't get like a bounce. So you just you're starting from a static position, and then you're just going in one direction. So each strongman event will have a deadlift variation. They'll vary by different kind of bar. One might be a standard barbell, one might be a truck axle, where it's about 2 inches thick. So to
Right. That's
to
cool.
get your hand, the grip strength that would require, um,
Do
is
you
a
work a
lot.
lot with grip strength,
Oh
particularly
yeah,
for yourself?
oh
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
These past few months, once I decided to enter this competition, I was training my grip strength daily.
Right.
Farmers holds, loaded carries, power holds. Even there was one actually I had a flashback with Coach Panacidi when I was doing one exercise. He used to have us do. He would call it functional isometrics.
Yeah.
So, and back then we were 15 years old. I had no clue what he was talking about. I said, "Oh, okay,
Yeah.
sounds cool, scientific stuff,"
100%.
But all you're doing is just you're holding a weight against the rack, but you're not moving. But it's just it's isometric, so it's just to hold it for as long as you possibly can hold on.
Right.
Just like in gym class, if you couldn't do a chin up, they would just say, hold
Hold it.
yourself up at the top as long as you can. So it's
Right.
similar to that. I had let's see, my grip strength I worked daily. It was to the point where I felt like my forearms were going to explode.
Right.
I was
But you have to,
actually.
right? Because
Oh yeah.
and you're
I was
doing that
basically.
competition. It's not a lift; it's a succession of many lifts. So you really do have to work on that grip strength. It's more than just let me work on it for one thing. No, it's
Mhm.
probably hours you're lifting and putting down or whatever. You got to wait your
Yeah,
turn, and
yeah,
it's funny.
absolutely.
Coach P also, I can really appreciate now too because I coach tennis. I play in tournaments and stuff like that, and I've been playing for years. But I think everything kind of goes back to Coach P and that the core strength.
Yeah,
Whether you're a boxer, a weightlifter, a tennis, baseball, football, it's that core. That's where the power is
absolutely.
deriving. It's not the hand, not necessarily the arm or the hand, but it's
Mhm.
corkscrewing in a certain sport, or like Coach would say, explode.
Yeah,
That core. And that's what I try to teach my kids with tennis is we talk about corkscrewing when we hit a tennis ball. Yeah,
right.
you could hit a tennis ball just hitting it, but when you wind up, come down, and use that whole momentum, and this is kind of, we'll go back to squatting, that core power. You hit
Yeah,
that ball, the tennis ball, with your hips and legs, really, and our arms are just kind of like the pivot or the end point. It all comes from that core.
right.
So yeah, there's an analogy there between what you're doing, powerlifting and strongman, and almost any other sport, really. Even if you're hitting a ping pong, I mean,
Yeah.
it's all torque from the
Yeah,
core.
it's core strength, rotation, hip power, and that's with every sport, whether it be football, baseball, tennis, hockey,
Yeah,
lacrosse. Pretty much every sport, you have to have a strong core,
right.
and
Do you
that's really what separates the.
comes down to? Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, so do you work on? I guess it's a balance. Obviously, you have to have a lot of strength. And I also know from Coach P, you got to have, I guess, some level of flexibility. So is there some kind of routine or something that strong men do or you do to try to
Um,
add flexibility into the mix? Because it's a fine balance, I'm sure.
Yeah, I do a lot of mobility work, especially as I got older. In my early 20s, I could just walk into a gym and start lifting and be done in 45 minutes to an hour.
Right.
But now I actually I invest more time in my warm up now because if I'm not properly warmed up, I'll leave myself vulnerable to injury.
Right.
So if I'm doing I schedule my training around what like what exercise I'm doing that day. So if it's, for example, if I'm let's say tomorrow's Wednesday, I'm going to squat tomorrow. So what I'll do is I'll take about 30 to 40 minutes just warming up alone.
Wow.
A lot of that will involve a lot of that will involve just like a dynamic warm up. I'll start out with a stationary bike.
Right.
Start out
Okay.
with a
So,
bike, and then I'll jump on an elliptical, but I'll do the elliptical in reverse actually because it
okay.
fires up your hamstrings and glutes that way.
Smart. Okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it's very important to get your posterior chain involved because your hamstrings, your glutes, and your lower back are all tied together. And if you go into that cold, that's how
Yeah.
you can pull a hamstring or throw out your back. So it's a
Interesting. So
proper
yeah. So
warm
your
up.
prep is almost equally as important as actually the actual exercises itself,
Oh yeah,
especially. And I guess you probably would concur. getting into that habit sooner is better because,
Oh
you
yeah,
know, like you said, in your 20s, yeah, you can, but if you get into a bad habit, you might not warm up or stretch in your 30s or 40s. And here we go.
right.
The injuries are more prone.
Yeah,
So,
it's like when I started coaching football 20 years ago, I used to run sprints with the players, and I was right out of college, so it
yeah,
was, it was easy. Now, if
right.
I think if I ran one sprint, I would definitely pull a hamstring. So,
Right, right, right. Well, I mean, you know thyself, but that's where the wisdom comes in, and now you have more wisdom. So let me ask you:
yeah.
do you take any supplements or not, or what's your?
The only thing I take now, multivitamin, multi-mineral. I take fish oil, glucosamine, chondroitin. I do take an aspirin a day, just because of my age and weight, not really
Right,
for the training.
right.
Because when you're
Aspirin's a blood
45
thinner. If
years
people don't
old
know.
and yeah, 300 pounds, you're carrying a lot of weight all day, so it's very laborious. So
On the
I
heart.
do that to keep I do that to keep the blood pressure down. Um,
Okay.
and I've been, that's pretty much it. As far as supplements, I do have protein powders, but I try to get more of my nutrients from real food.
Right.
So the only time I'll have a protein shake is if I'm on the go, I'm in a rush, and I'm going like from one job to the next, or I have meetings or something like that. So when you don't have time, a quick protein shake, you chug it down. It's it's immediate nutrients right to your body,
Right.
but they don't last because it's in liquid form. So as fast as your body absorbs it, that's also just as fast as your body is
Yeah,
gonna
good point. Yeah.
get rid.
And look, you're competing. I always kind of laugh. I have friends of mine that are like, they work in whatever. They work in an office. They make $1 million a day, whatever. But
Well,
they work out at the gym for like 45 minutes an hour. And
yeah,
protein shakes. I got the fat. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? You're calm the hell down, man. Like you're not you're just
yeah,
working out to be sexy for the beach. And like I mean, all these types of supplements. I'm like, easy guy. So to your point, and I'm glad you said that because yeah, a lot of people I think they might be possibly causing an issue for themselves like unless you're competing or trying to do something, yeah, for a contest or something. Like I
mhm,
said, I got people in my circle. I'm like, yo, dude, how many supplements are you taking? Like, you just, you're an accountant chilling out. You're working a half hour a day at the gym or whatever. Like, easy, bro.
yeah,
But
yeah. I think the best sources of protein really are just from food.
right,
So, and no matter what kind of diet you follow, if you're omnivore or if you're keto or vegan, vegetarian, everybody has special dietary preferences or needs, and there's
right,
something out there for everybody.
right.
I have a lot of friends who are, I have a few friends that are bodybuilders that are vegan and they eat plant-based diet.
I've heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're doing well and they love their lifestyle. I said I don't know if I could do it, but
Yeah, yeah. To each his own. So,
they
what is your talk about diet? I saw you post something about you're taking these calories, and you were
oh yeah.
I guess from a post it seemed like you were taking in more calories. So, what is a daily? Let's just say start off with breakfast, then lunch, dinner. So, do you even eat breakfast? But what does a typical breakfast for a gym look like?
Typical breakfast for me be like if I'm at home and let's say it's a Saturday morning and I don't have to go to work, it's just a regular day at home. I'll have some steak and eggs and oatmeal, and
Okay,
some fruit.
right.
So
Okay,
that way I'm
and
getting vitamins, nutrients, protein,
right,
and good carbs.
right.
So year round, I try to keep my carbs sources from oatmeal, brown rice, quinoa, whole wheat bread, but I keep the bread at a minimum when
That's what
possible.
I preach to people, man. You got to go easy on the
Yeah.
white bread and the cake and the cookies and the chips. That's empty
Oh, it's a
calorie
killer.
processed carbs. Try to get the right natural
Yeah.
carbs. You're right. Your quinoa, your oatmeal, your vegetables. So, what does a lunch look like typically for Jim?
Lunch, usually it's I'll meal prep my meals in advance a lot of times. So if it's during a work week, I have I'll just prep meals, and each meal will have a portion of a carb, a protein, and a vegetable. Those
Okay,
are the three bases.
right.
Fats are going to be naturally occurring in most foods. So if my favorite sources of protein are usually grilled chicken, ground turkey, steak, or eggs.
Right. Okay.
And depending on what I'm training for, I'll make variations.
Okay.
So if for when I'm in my strongman prep, I'm eating a lot of red meat and a lot of whole eggs. But when I'm not training for a show and I'm in my off season, I'll switch more to chicken, fish, egg whites as opposed to whole eggs.
Right.
Because those are leaner sources of protein with less fat, but they also digest faster.
Right. And so
You know,
dinner would be something similar for you then?
yeah.
A
Usually,
typical dinner?
there's my diet's pretty boring. There's days where, you know, if I eat 5 or 6 meals a day, there's days where 3 of those meals are identical.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's like it's not even fun. You're just like,
Yeah.
all right, I gotta eat this. It's
I
like
got
a
to do
job,
it.
you know.
Right.
So
So
like you were talking about my post, I know my final 4 weeks of my prep upcoming to the show, I increased my calories by 1,000.
bro, I read your post and I wanted to throw up. I was like, dude,
Yeah,
I can't even read what he's putting there.
I was up to 6,500 calories a day in my last 2 weeks.
That's
And it was
almost over 3 times what we're supposed to eat, right?
yeah, for your average human,
Over that, yeah.
You know, between 2,000 and 2,500. For myself, because of my activity level and my body weight, my maintenance calories are at 4,800. So if I eat 4,800 calories per day, I won't gain or lose any weight.
Wow.
So when I want to gain or lose, I manipulate the calories. You know,
Right.
I could even, let's see, earlier this year I had done a really huge weight loss, you know, for health reasons, just for not for training but for everyday life, just you know, because I had gotten physical, my cholesterol and blood pressure through the roof, and you know, I was to a point where I couldn't even put my socks on or tie my shoes.
Wow.
So I said, okay,
Yeah.
you know,
It's not good.
we don't need to bench press 500 pounds anymore. We need to live everyday life and walk up
Right.
stairs.
Wow.
So yeah, I had cut my calories down to 2,500, but I was
Which is
still eating a
almost the
lot of
norm.
food. Yeah, I was still eating a ton of food, and I was losing about almost 3 pounds a week, because
Wow.
because I was in a calorie deficit of
Right.
over 2,000 calorie deficit per day.
Correct.
So I was losing weight rapidly.
Wow.
And but I still felt fine because I was still getting enough protein. I was getting enough nutrients, a lot of vegetables, a ton of vegetables.
Right. Yep. So you were right, probably right, eating, but it was those vegetables that made right. So
Yeah, leafy greens you can never go wrong with.
I've been trying to put that into my diet now for the past 2 weeks. It's so important to get that. And by the way, real quick, if anybody's tuning in just now, we're talking to a strongman competitor, weightlifter, coach, Jim. He just competed in his first strongman, and we're talking about diet and exercise and how one would prep for something that he does. So very impressive. You know, thanks for coming on. I know we're kind of running down on time here, Jim. So let me just ask you, what is your favorite lift to do in the strongman?
My personal favorite right now is the log press,
which I saw you do.
Yeah, it's like a 12-inch log. So most of the ones now they're made of steel and are manufactured, but the ones, there's some of the old school ones where they're actually it's a carved out log.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah,
I saw the photo of you doing that. I said to myself, dude, I couldn't even roll that damn thing. Okay. Never mind, lift up half side of it. So that was giving me a hernia just looking at it. I was like, oh, man. But that's awesome. So the log is your favorite.
Yeah, I like it. It's a big challenge because you're taking it from the floor and you're bringing it over your head.
Clean and jerk,
yeah. And there's a lot of different techniques. You know, some people will just press it out. Some people will jerk it. But you just got to demonstrate control.
Right. Cool.
And
so what is
cool.
What is a lift that gives you the most, I guess, the hardest time, or a lift that you're working on to, you know, better yourself at? So we got your favorite lift. So what would be a lift that you're like, I got to work on this one?
That one, the Atlas stones are
those are the round
for me. Yeah, the big round
brick
cement stones. They're very hard to grip because they're smooth and there's really nothing to grab. Whereas with the boulders, you know, with a boulder,
angles.
Yeah, they're odd shaped. Those are tough too. But if you find like a little groove or something where you can grip it, it helps. But the
And you're
Atlas
allowed to
foam,
chalk up, though, right? I mean, you can put
yeah,
chalk
you
on
can
your,
chalk up.
but on a smooth stone, it's almost irrelevant. But.
Yeah, with the smooth stone, some guys use they call it tacky. It's like remember that sticky
Football.
spray that like
Yeah,
yeah,
we used to call it
exactly.
gription.
Yeah, that's it. So some guys will spray the tacky stuff on their hands and their forearms, to get a better grip on it. So that's something that's new to me. I'm still learning, and I'm excited to continue learning
Right.
about it. And
Let me ask
it's
you
something
also.
I've always seen.
I'm sorry, you said what?
Yeah. No, it's something I've always seen and watched, but I never actually touched them until this year.
Okay. Yeah, you'd be like
Yeah.
Spider-Man. You just be like, yeah. So
Yeah,
what? Now I know weightlifting. I guess the competition has to be interesting because you are competing against other guys, but you're also not competing against other guys. You're competing against the weight. It's unlike football, right? Where we're one-on-one. We're trash talking, whatever it is. This is kind of not in that vein, but it kind of is. So what's the vibe like? Are guys kind of supportive, or they're just kind of like stone-faced?
Oh, yeah.
Because you're not really against each other, but you kind of are, but you're really not. So everyone's kind of like.
Everyone's very supportive and positive, and even like if you're going against a guy in the same event and you're in the same grouping, you cheer each other on because you never want to see anybody fail. If somebody beats me in an event, and I did my best I did the best that I could do, then more power to them. The only way that I would probably be upset is if I didn't leave it all out there, if I didn't bring my best, and then that would be on me. I'd only have myself to point the finger at.
Right.
So yeah, we all cheer each other on, and
that's awesome.
So if I'm doing an event and let's say the truck pull, I got it in 14 seconds to the 50-foot mark, and then the next guy goes, I'm rooting for him to beat my time because it's it gives you something to look forward to.
Steel sharpens steel.
Yeah, absolutely. And the guys that I met last weekend at the competition, we all became friends, and we connected on social media, and we're following each other now. So myself, I won my weight class.
Congrats, dude!
Thank you. I won the Masters division first place. And I got invited.
It's got to be heady, right? It's like you go home. It's like, yeah, you know who I am. And they're like, hey, take out the garbage. All right.
Yeah, it's what, Tuesday now. I still feel like I got hit by a bus.
From the strain and the physical exertion.
Yeah, it was a brutal day. It was, but it was so much fun.
Oh, right, right. By the way, where did that take place? What city?
It was down in Southern Maryland.
Oh, damn. Okay, I thought it was like okay. Yeah. So wow, okay, a little bit of a drive, but okay.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
About 20 miles outside of Alexandria, Virginia, and about 45 minutes south of DC.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Wow, I mean that adds to the theater of it. It's not like it was in the next town, which would have been fine also. But the fact that you had to do a journey, literally and figuratively. But that's awesome, man. And so, in closing, I know we're running down on time here. I respect your time. What is, aside from strongman, what's your favorite sport out there in the world that you like to watch and whatever?
Oh, football. By
yeah, I mean, I could have predicted that one, but I was like, I don't know. I don't want to be presumptuous. You might say like badminton or something. I don't know. But yeah, football. Listen, it's a damn shame that football is getting a bad rap these past couple of years, and I get it. CTE. I played. I don't want to brag. Jim, I was in the state championship team. You probably know that.
You got the ring, man. Yeah.
That's right, baby. But it's a shame because there's the potential for brain damage in football, but they're working hard. Not only the NFL but football at every level to mitigate that and take that off the table. But nobody wants to talk about the other 200 things that are right with football, that are amazing with football.
Oh, yeah.
Football like no other sport, and I'm so glad I joined when I joined. I don't have to tell you, but it's on so many levels. It's a microcosm of life. Coach P used to always say, never trust a man who didn't play football. I mean, it's football, just like that. You learn, camaraderie, how to lose, how to dust yourself off. I mean, on and on and on. I mean, not only football, but any sport. I always tell kids, or tell parents, make sure your kid joins some sport, even if it's ping pong.
Right.
But football is such a microcosm of life And so football is your favorite. All right. So please don't tell me Dallas Cowboys. What's your favorite NFL team?
I'm a big Giants fan.
God bless you.
Lifelong Giants fan. Big Blue all the way. You know, they're struggling the last couple of years, but you know, still a fan, faithful.
Yeah. But that's awesome. Yeah. So football. Yeah, I'm a football fan too. I would say probably football's one of my favorite sports. Actually, ironically enough, I play tennis almost 5 days a week. I compete in tournaments. I do not like watching tennis. You'll never, ever see me watch tennis. I just, for some reason, I can't watch it. I like being out there playing or maybe live. But football's an amazing sport. So the Giants, football. And let me see if I have another. We're basically running out on time. Do you have another strongman competition coming up soon, or is it in the spring or summer? Or are you taking a break from it? Or
no, I'm actually. I took a couple days now. I'm actually gonna head back to the gym today. Yesterday I just went in and did some stretching and mobility work, and today I'll do the same. Tomorrow I'll attack the weights now. But I'm prepping for in April. There's a Lift for Autism event.
Oh, cool.
It's a fundraiser and a strongman competition.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's going to be a big thing. It's down in Eatontown, New Jersey.
Okay. Local.
Yes. In April, it's going to be a pretty big event. So I'm doing that. And also in June, the last weekend in June, I was invited to the national championships after winning this past weekend.
That's awesome.
I earned an invite. So I'm going to start training for that.
Yeah.
And I got a sneak peek of the events and the weights that are going to be used.
That's awesome.
It's a huge step up. I gotta really attack it and go, laser focus,
right,
and dive in head first. And I embrace it because at our age, nothing's guaranteed.
Of course.
I think these past 2 years of events in the world have really changed a lot of lives. Whether it be for the better or worse. I think it's what you make of it, So, I had struggles in business last year during the pandemic. And then this year, we all had struggles,
personal stuff,
family members, lost and whatnot. But I said, it rang a bell in my head. I said, you know what? Nothing's guaranteed, and tomorrow is not guaranteed.
Yeah.
So I don't want to look back on something 20, 30 years from now or 50 years from now, whatever it may be, on my deathbed and say, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. So I said, you know what? While I'm still able-bodied, let me just do it.
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to have you on, because even if it was just whatever, badminton, this guy, I said to myself, he's going for he's shooting for one of his dreams. And again, as adults, we you get caught up and you got to be an adult. And it's sad because you see people that do have those regrets. Oh, I should have done this or that or this. And it's like, wow, man, it's very inspirational to see you doing that. And honestly, obviously it's nice to win, but it's not even so much about winning or losing. It's about you're going for it. Yeah. And it's exhilarating. It's like, wow, it's amazing. So good on you, man. And I wish you the best. And I'll be watching you, man. It's awesome. It's inspirational. And a lot of people I know feel the way I feel about what you're doing too. They may not say it to you, but it's like, it sparks inspiration in others, whatever it may be. Maybe they want to be a poet or whatever. Like, go for it. And
we could all do whatever we want. It's just a matter of doing it.
100%.
We all have life. We all have busy work schedules and families, but it's how we prioritize our time. So I've cut out watching TV and whatnot and things like that. I'll spend more time reading. Or I'll watch something educational on YouTube. Right. Anything that I take into my brain, I want it to be useful information, something educational, something, everything you take in has to be a tool.
Yep.
And I think in our society today, everything is full of distractions,
and negativeness a lot of times.
Oh yeah,
just, me, look at me.
It seems like the world is divided in half, and everybody. I've seen neighbors and family members fall out and not speak to each other, and I'm like, why?
Right. But that's the other thing that sports teaches us is I always say, if someone's played sports their whole life, from childhood to high school or college, you're probably more apt not to be so divisive because you understand what it is to work with people, to lose, to win, to brush yourself off. And we can disagree, but still be cordial. I think that's what sports teaches us. And so, but yeah, man, no, you're right. And hey, maybe motivational speaker for your future, dude.
No, I'm not a great public speaker, but
no, you got me pumped up right now. I'm like, let's go. Who wants some? But dude, I want to
speeches are pretty good.
Yeah, man, yeah. But no, I want to respect your time. Time is basically come to a draw. But Jim, who knows? Love to have you on again sometime.
Yeah,
and,
love to.
I wish you and your family happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and thanks everybody. Hey, don't forget if you're watching, hit the like button, the subscribe button, the notification button as well. This week we have all different types of people that come on, and Jim, powerlifter, lifter, competitor, coach. Thank you for coming on. And yeah, that's it. So, Jim, have a good day.
Anthony, thank you so much.
Thanks again, Jim. All the best.
Thank you. Take care.